1974, before the bridge was knocked over. And I've been here for 3 occasions now. I left for a little while and went and did a job, worked for the government for 12 years, and done a couple of jobs, but I ended up, and I went fishing and a few things, but I ended up back on the tugs because I really like the tugs there. I've just always been interested in the water. My dad always had little fishing boats, and I grew up fishing and sailing, one thing or another. It's just sort of in your blood after a while, the water, yeah. Wherever you go, there's tugs always pushing a barge around, or a rubbish barge. If you go to Sydney Harbour, there's just things down. But most of the work in Hobart is now just shipping work. So the tug is just used on shipping work. So that is pushing the ships into the berths, or pulling them out, turning them round, and not to forget the Tasman Bridge is a pretty important consideration here, the safety of the bridge. Yeah, after the inquiry, it was decided that the tug should assist the ship going through the bridge. That didn't happen before, so after a few trials and bits and pieces to what to do, it was decided to lash the tug up to the stern of the ship so as we can push the ship if it breaks down, or maybe steer it or control it in some ways if something goes wrong. That's something we never used to do. A normal shipping job. When we arrive here we the first thing we always check is security. That's sort of come out of September 11. The tug hasn't been broken into, there's been no one on board, because you don't want a tug to go and blow up next to an oil tanker, for example, or a gas tanker. So the first thing we check the security, and then we have a number of checks that we do just to make sure everything's safe, that the tow line's right, is suitable to use, and then we have there's a crew of 3. There's a master, the engineer and the deckhand. So the engineer will go and start the engine room up and does all these checks down there. When he gives me the okay, that's right to go, I'll test things up here, test my steering, one thing and another, and the deckhand's happy down there with whatever he's got to do, and that's before we back out. And we go out there in the river. Let's say a ship's berthing, we'll meet the ship out there in the river, flash up to it, escort it up wherever it's going, and do whatever the pilot wants to do, be it push or pull or whatever. And a berthing just reverse, we just flash up to it, pulling off the wharf and send him on his way, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's in a nutshell what it is, sort of thing. I have to say that Hobart is a fairly simple port to work, because it's generally fairly quiet and sheltered, with the exception of the Tasman Bridge, of course. That we do a lot of training putting ships through the bridge, and we once a year we do some training on the ship's simulator up at Australian Maritime College in Launceston.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it can be blowing quite hard, and that can try you a little bit. There are a couple of things that you need to watch out for in a ship. And that is the flare on the bow, that you don't get in underneath that, or you can wipe the wheelhouse out of the tug on that. The ship can run you over. And on the other end of it, you've got to watch that the propeller's thrashing around in the water, so you don't get caught near that as well. You see, there's little things like that, but you develop that over a while. Also, the tugs are fairly manoeuvrable. I think they're fairly easy to drive because they're manoeuvrable. They're powerful, and they've got fenders hanging all around them as well. But having said that, I guess it comes with experience. When you think it's easy, when you start driving a motor car, it's not easy. But after a while, you don't even think about it. That's the same sort of thing as that. Having said that, you can't let your concentration lack. But no, I quite enjoy it. You know, I can't put my finger on anything in particular. You've got to like it, or else you wouldn't be here. Because we work all odd hours of the day and night. And if you didn't like the work, you wouldn't like working at 2 o'clock in the morning out in the middle of winter. that we do. Yeah. I often say to people, it's not a job, it's just what we do. Yeah, and that's how I think about it. It's just what we do.